I'm going to show you how to replace the ball joint on my 92 VR4. They don't make OEM ball joints for the front anymore. You can't get them, but you can get, it's for a Hyundai Sonata, the Moog part number. I'll have it posted up. Looks like I got it right here, the K9855. I may do a video on the rear as well. It's a little different because there's not an exact fit, but these are pretty much exact. So I'm going to show you, kind of walk you through it. One thing you'll need is a ball joint removal and installer kit. I rented mine from Pep Boys. To rent it, basically you put a deposit of, I think it was like $119, but you get that back once you return it. It's number 27023. They have it at Pep Boys. Advanced Auto used to rent this tool. They no longer do, so you're not going to be able to grab it from them. Some people use sockets and say they just hit it in with a hammer and stuff, but this is a lot easier, quicker, and you're not going to damage anything. So first thing you're going to want to do is remove the ball joint. You're going to notice my strut is out, and honestly I would recommend doing that because it allows us to get all of the hub and the rotor and caliper up and out of the way so that we can work on the actual ball joint. So this is going to kind of be a continuous video of the whole process, so I'm going to run you through it real quick here. So first thing we got to do, I recommend hitting this with PB Blaster. I would do it the night before, and I did the night before, just threw a little bit on there right now as well. But we're going to go ahead and loosen this nut right in here. It's 19 millimeters. Turn this. If the actual stub starts to turn, you're going to want to jack up on the lower control arm and basically get some bite. Like get it so it's like crooked in there, like the actual, where the stud comes up through the lower part of the knuckle here, so that it doesn't spin. Now one thing you're noticing as I start to take this nut off, you're going to be like, well, how am I going to get it off? Because the axle's hub is in the way. But what we're going to do is we're going to start to bang out the lower control arm from the knuckle assembly. So get that up to a certain point, and you're seeing I'm starting to have some space in between there. So now I'm going to take a pickle fork and hammer basically right in here between the knuckle itself and lower control arm. As you can tell, I beat the crap out of this thing, so it's makes it a little difficult to do this, but it'll work just fine. So we slide this in under there. There you go, see how it popped up? What I recommend doing is putting this up on a jack stand so it kind of holds it up and out of the way a little bit. Now you'll notice called a C-clip. This is a pain to put back on, but I'll show you how to do it. It is possible. But now we're going to remove that, and essentially what I'm going to do is take this guy right here, hammer it in under the edge of that, and it'll allow me to pull it out. And now it's ready to be pressed out. Remember to take that clip out, otherwise it's not coming out. And just to mention real briefly, that's the discussion on whether or not the rear works. Essentially what happens is when you put the new one in and put this clip on, there's a 32nd of an inch gap between the bottom of the C-clip and the top of the rear control arm. So that's the debate. So they say you could either just do a tack weld the C-clip to the control arm, or put a thin washer underneath this or to take up that space. But that's the debate on whether or not the rear works. It does press in nicely, it bolts up, but that's where you run into the issue. All right, so now for removal, we have basically it's like a giant C-clamp. And then some different races here in this kit. We're going to use the the middle size one to essentially, it's going to go underneath, and it gives the ball joint something to push down into as you press together. You know, you can't just squeeze it like that, it wouldn't go anywhere. It needs a race to run into. So that goes underneath. First, I'm just going to try to jack up the control arm, but you notice I need this to be like this. If you guys have a lift, this isn't an issue, but I may need to jack the car up higher to get this done. So let's see what happens when I just lift up the control arm. Also, you want this to be greased up, so just kind of maybe take some of this and put it on there to get it a little more greased up. I'll take this old ball joint and just smear it around on that. How's it earlier in there? This is the one. It wants to be on top. You'll feel how it sits tight, and then you feel how I can push down on that. This one will go on the bottom, just like that. Okay? And then this race like that. Then that sits snug on there, and then you can bolt this up. Alright, so there's the old one out. Yeah, and again, the key, make sure you're trying to push straight down. This thing is so loose, it kept trying to slide off, but you want to push it straight down and out. Come in with a wire brush. Definitely safety glasses for this. See what we got. This light is on me here. It's probably 30 degrees out, but it's hot as hell because it's light. Alright, so here's the new ball joint. We got a top nut here. Thread that off and set it to the side. We have a dust boot cover. Set that off to the side. We have a new C-ring. Okay, again, set that off to the side. And our ball joint. Not more firm than the other one. You can also get these with a grease fitting. I didn't. I don't know, kind of wish I would have, but at the same time, it should last long enough. Should be fine. And what you also find in here is a little packet of grease. Okay. First thing we want to do is grease this up in here. Alright, big apology, but the GoPro camera died as soon as I did the installation, which is just awesome. Not whatsoever. But essentially this is the setup we have. So I'm going to pretend to do it for you, but it's already installed. So, ta-da, but so essentially now you take, first thing you do is you grease the hole like you saw me doing, push it up in and just kind of like hit it with your hand from the bottom just to kind of set it a little bit. And then once you have it set, take the same size race, receiving tube they're calling it, put it on top of the control arm now, take this with the different steps, with the hole, it sits on top of this so that the stud of the ball joint can press up into it. So right now it'd be a lot lower. Then you take this guy, he sits on that, clamp this over top. You see what I'm doing here? Okay, and then this will push up on the bottom of the ball joint, and then just keep tightening it until it goes up and you see that it gets a nice contact seal on the base of the control arm and the base of the ball joint. And once you see that that's nice and tight right under there, you know, just give it a nice little tug, loosen this, and we're right back on track. But I'm really pissed about that. Now the rest of the video won't be HD either because now that camera's charging, but so the way it goes. But glad you didn't miss this part, because this part is a real pain. It's with installing the C-clip. They recommend you put grease around the base of this and on the C-clip here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. This is the hardest part of the entire job, but it's pretty rewarding. You'll feel pretty good once you get it on there. So just gotta find what you're gonna need is a screwdriver like this. You want a nice wide, preferably, you know, a nice flat head screwdriver here. And now I'm gonna take this C-ring and I'm actually gonna bend it. Just do this with your hands. Don't want to break it. I'll try to do this in the video for you, but essentially I'm just grabbing it, twisting it two opposite directions. See me doing this. It'll hurt your fingers a little bit, but no big deal. See what I got there? Can you tell that I bent it? Okay, so I got that. So now what I'm going to do is start one end of it. Put this over like this, and essentially take, it's funny, I almost did, you can bend it either way, but I almost want this to clip in first. But essentially what I'm trying to do is, some of these C-rings have holes in them, this one doesn't, these C-clips, so this is why it's a little trickier. But essentially you're going to get see how this side that bends down is already kind of sitting. I wanted it to be the opposite way so I could push on here, but I'll make it work. This will work like this. I'll spin around a little bit, but I'll try to get you a really good angle on this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to hold this half down with your thumb, the lower half on the C-clip, and you're going to take this side and push in that direction really freaking hard. What I sometimes do, maybe I show you on camera, is I use my knee. See how my knee's on the end of that as like strength, so I'm not just trying to push with my hand. And then take your thumb, and as you push with it in this direction, your thumb is going to kind of slide up and around, almost like the slide here, to seat it down. So there. Now, now it's good. That would have made me angry if it went shooting across the room here. So again, check around it here. And you can see on the other side, maybe it clipped in. And the next thing we're going to install is the dust boot. So for this, you're actually going to use this again. What we're going to do, I know some people have said take this bottom portion of this, but then it kind of like slid. I just pressed directly on it and it worked out fine. But you're going to use the smallest race. See how nicely that fits there? And essentially, I already got grease on there so it'll slide on nicely, but sit that over top, take this guy, put him on there, and then what you're going to do is kind of the same way you installed the ball joint. Again, taking this guy, like that. So see how the back didn't really come on, but now if you just take this, and I can push it down with my hand. But you need to do it like that at first to get the ring to be wide enough. Now we're going to go ahead and drop the arm back down. So that's basically it. I hope you guys liked the video. I apologize it wasn't all HD. I was pumped for that, but the camera died. Try to get it next time. And if you got any questions, just post them in the comments section. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. To all my subscribers, thank you so much for hanging in there through that little down period I had where I wasn't really posting any videos. But I'm hoping to pick back up pretty strong here as we get into spring. Thanks a lot. Oh, that's just the way. I was like, I just broke my camera. Okay. And just for the benefit of people who may not know what some of these parts are, you know, people tell you, oh, check this, check that, but you're like, what are they even talking about? We're going to run you through real quick. What you're looking at right here, this is the tie rod end. So they call this the outer tie rod, and then your inner tie rod is back in there. It's covered up by a boot. What you need is a tool that you can, well, you can rent from Pep Boys, but they don't have the right size crow's foot. But the one from Harbor Freight does. Inner tie rod removal tool, and basically it's like a long pipe that slides up this shaft here. And can undo that. You know, axle. Here's our sway bar right here. Come around the other side. We have our sway bar end link. I mean, as you can see, mine need to be replaced. I'll probably go ahead and do that as well. This is a bellows boot. Same thing for the inner tie rod. What you're looking at, I'm hanging this string off of right here. This is one of the front subframe bushings. So this is basically a metal tube that the bushing gets pressed into. You're seeing the stud poke out through there.